to make, and then Pastor Donato is going to lead us in communion. So there's three things for announcements. The first one is our reminder of our regular lunchtime prayer. And for those that have been joining us, you know it's been anointed and awesome. So if you've been joining us, please continue to bring your supply. And if you haven't, I would encourage you to try to connect on lunchtime prayer because it's really powerful, anointed. It's our upper room prayer experience, and we're making an impact for God's kingdom by praying through. For such a time as this, all that needs to be prayed through. So that's the one. The second thing I wanted to mention is that there's going to be, in the month of July, we're going to be starting up the Gemini, or not Gemini, sorry, Genesis. I don't know why I said Gemini. Gemini, the Genesis Bible study. We had started that previously in Pastor Pamela's home, and we're going to be it'll basically be kind of restarting it so that people who have not had a chance to get involved can still do that and not be kind of left way behind several weeks. So we're going to start that up at some point in July, the Genesis Bible study. And so more details to come on that with the specifics, but it's going to be on a Tuesday evening. And so the next thing I wanted to point out, kind of the last announcement, is just that we want to see your face. We want to have the opportunity to connect with you. We realize that due to some of the social distancing requirements and limitations right now, we can't all gather together in one place per se, but we want to be able to do that via Zoom and have an opportunity to catch up and see people. And so we're going to have kind of a prayer and fellowship service that will be on a Wednesday night, and that'll probably be coming up in the next couple weeks. There'll be more details to follow, and we're going to send out an email and a one call and make sure you know all the details about it. But we're really looking forward to the opportunity to connect again with people, where it's an opportunity that's a little more informal, where we can just talk and fellowship and connect. So we're really looking forward to that. And that's all I've got for announcements. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pastor Donato, who's going to lead us in communion.
Howdy, howdy. All right, if everybody gets their elements ready. I don't have a scripture verse per se, but what I wanted to share with you and also encourage you, we had our FCF conference this last week, and it was full of all kinds of stuff, and some of it's recorded that we'll have to watch later again and whatnot. But we shared on Facebook, if you go to our Facebook page, a link to Friday or Thursday night's conference that we're allowed to share with people. So I encourage you to go out there. It's great, very, very informative. But one of the takeaways that I took from the conference was something that was just almost kind of simple. If you weren't really thinking about it, you could miss it or whatever. But you know, we're always taught about God's promises in the Bible. And of course, there are many promises and how true they are and things like that. But as it tied in with some of the other things that this guy was talking about, or just throughout the conference with the Old Testament and the New Testament, you know, like in God's Old Testament, it was the promise, like this is going to be happening, right? But as Christ came onto the scene, those things, that redemption, that price that he paid for dying for us on the cross, now that that's complete, those promises are no longer just promises like they're going to happen. They're fact. They are available to you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So like when it talks about in Isaiah, you know, you will be healed. Well, no longer will you be healed because Christ's redemptive blood has paid the price. You are healed. And that's just the kind of revelation I think we all just need to get our hands around and realize that no longer are we bound by the chains that once we had, right? Now that you're a Christian, now that you're saved, now that you've been blood bought, you are a child of God. You have all of the promises now as fact because Jesus shed his blood for you, and now they're yours for the taking. So just keep that in mind, especially as we partake here, you know, and that's why they're yours, is because Christ, when he broke his body on the cross for us, he paid that price. that needed to be paid. He is that spotless lamb. And he sacrificed everything for us. So if we can hold true to those things and remember that, I think we'll have that new revelation. So let's just partake in the bread here. Remember that Jesus passed it out, and he broke the bread, and he handed it out to all of his disciples and said, "Take this in remembrance of me." Likewise, he took the cup, passed it around, and said, "This is my blood that will be poured out for you. And do this in remembrance of me." So now let's not only just remember the price he paid, but that those promises are ours, they're truth, they're fact. And we can start walking and living in that glory that God's created us to live in. Amen. I hope you've been blessed today. Thank you for joining.